jump scare. The only way you're going to face your fears and your doubts is if you learn how to face them. Welcome and welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, of course, there is no right or wrong way to heal yourself, so always and only take what resonates, as well as grabbing your pen and your paper and be prepared to take notes. In this video specifically, we're going to go over the 5 main recommendations in order for you to face your fears as well as your doubts. But before we do that, before we get into the knit and the grit, we have to identify that we have some type of insecurities. We have to realize that we have some type of fears, that we have some type of doubt within us, and we're not 100% confident. The reason to do this is so therefore you can acknowledge how you feel, right? You're validating your emotions, whether they're present or from your past. So therefore, when you take the time to internalize and acknowledge the insecurity and we embrace it and we accept it, we then now can move forward. We then now can come up with a solution. You cannot come up with solutions. You're not going to see results when you watch these videos and engage if you do not identify that you currently feel some type of way. Because healing is not a one-size-fits-all, it requires you to be vulnerable. So in order for you to face your fears, you have to acknowledge that maybe you are afraid of spiders. Maybe you are afraid to be seen. Maybe you are afraid to be successful. Maybe you are afraid that you won't be able to move forward. You have to accept the fact that you do feel some type of way. In order for you to transmute negative energy into positivity, in order for you to see the success, whatever that looks like to you, you have to realize that you were taught certain information. You were shown certain things, whether they were negative or positive. Maybe you grew up being afraid of insects because nobody taught you that insects won't hurt and harm you as long as you don't disturb them. Or maybe nobody killed the insects around you as a child. We all have different insecurities. We all have different fears. But it's really important to just be honest. It's not something that you have to be embarrassed or ashamed of. When you have guilt, when you have resentment towards yourself, you limit yourself, you block yourself. The second thing you have to realize once you acknowledge that you have a fear or insecurity or doubt is to realize, how does it make you feel? So if you have a fear of public speaking, how does that make you feel when you have to speak in front of people? How does it make you feel, when people are judging you or critiquing you? You have to be able to internalize how you feel, not how other people make you feel. Unless that's, you have to be in the public eye or etc. But how does it make you feel, most importantly? Unless the people around you that you may be intimidated by or insecure by are helping you and pouring into you and wishing you well, you don't have to take how they feel, what they say towards you into consideration. The third thing you have to do in order for you to face your fears is to acknowledge that you feel this type of way because either A, you're not confident within yourself, or B, this is something that you've been installed. You need to be able to distinguish whether you have these fears because you genuinely are afraid, you genuinely are insecure, you genuinely do doubt yourself, or B, somebody said something to you. Somebody did something to you. A lot of people have fears and projections based off of their environment, based off of the way that they were raised, based off their friends, their families, their coworkers, their classmates, their partners, their kids. Sometimes it is intentional with a malicious intent, and sometimes people project their own experiences. Because everybody doesn't know everything, people don't look at life the way that you do. So if you have goals to go to space, if you have goals to be the first person in your first person in your family to go to college, and everybody else around you has not obtained those things, witness those things, or experience those things, 100% of the time, they're going to project onto you their limitations. You cannot allow people to project their fears or their insecurities or their doubts onto you because you don't have the same life as them. Not just that, when you are healing yourself, when you're taking time to figure out who you are, you're setting these boundaries, you're being vulnerable, you're acknowledging how you feel, You have to realize that if any and everybody is not willing to accept you, is not willing to appreciate your boundaries, you have to remove yourself from them, because once again, surrounding yourself with people who have limitations or who have fears will keep you stuck and stagnant psychologically, mentally. That's why a lot of people suffer with PTSD. That's why a lot of people are depressed. That's why a lot of people have ADHD and anxiety and etc. And I know, because I'm your favorite mental health specialist who is an orthopedic physician. A lot of people get diagnosed with all these symptoms and these labels, and it's just like, let's go to the source. Let's go to the root. So what are you afraid of? Let me know in the comment section down below or on this piece of paper. What are you afraid of? How does it make you feel? And when did you start feeling this way? So an example, I used to be afraid of spiders. I was afraid of spiders because as a little child, my mom and my dad would kill the spiders for me. Now, as I grew older, I realized that my mom and my dad are not always going to be able to kill spiders for me. So eventually, I've had to face my fears. Now, of course, when you face your fears and you're not used to doing something, it's unfamiliar, which can cause you to be hesitant, which can cause you to physically be in fight or flight, which can cause you to be nervous, to be overwhelmed. But I realized I'm bigger than the spiders. So of course, this is going to vary based off of your fears and your doubts, because everybody doesn't have the same insecurities. But for me, once I killed the first spider that I ever did before, I realized, okay, I was able to overcome my fear, and I've come to the solution that whenever I see a spider, I personally do not like to kill them, and that's why I used to be afraid of them, because I didn't want to kill them, but I also didn't want them in my house. So I will try my best moving forward to, whenever I see a spider or insect, to put it outside. If not, rest in peace to you. You're not supposed to be inside. You're supposed to live outside. But it's just as simple as that. You have to realize that you having these doubts and insecurities is not nothing for you to be afraid of or ashamed of. If you feel guilty, if you feel ashamed, if you're embarrassed about what it is that you're insecure about, a lot of times you're going to struggle with moving past it. You cannot have people in your corner or in your environment or in your community projecting onto you. So if people have not killed spiders, or people are not doing the things that you want to do, you have to then separate yourself from them. You have to isolate yourself from them. This doesn't mean that it has to be permanent, but if you have goals, if you have aspirations, if you have desires, you do have to be practical. You do have to be intentional. This is why on this channel, I'm not here to tell you to be delusional. That's misleading. And if people knew what delusional was, you wouldn't want to be delusional. You don't have to be delusional when it comes to facing your fears. The third or the fourth thing, I lost count, let me know where I'm at, is learning to be patient. Because you're healing yourself, because you are facing your fears, like I said, when you haven't been taught and shown, you haven't had the resources, when you haven't had the tools, you have to realize you're used to a way of thinking. You're used to a way of living. And when you've been used to a way of thinking and living, a lot of times people go back and forth within their what is it called? Your flesh and your spirit, or your mind. And that's where the psychological warfare starts. A lot of people go back and forth because you're fighting your old self, who was afraid, who did have doubt, who did shrink themselves, who wasn't confident, versus the future self who you're trying to become and who you want to be. So it's really important that you learn to be patient as you learn to face your fears. When you guys are answering these questions with these notes in the comment section, and just overall, take your time. Healing is not, like I said, a one size fit all. It can take weeks and years and months for people to learn how to face their fears, especially, like I said, if you were programmed to think a certain type of way. You have to realize you are unlearning information, whether that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and learning a new way of living, which requires patience, which requires you to give yourself grace, and most importantly, not comparing yourself. When you learn to face your fears, you're not worried about what everybody else is doing and how they're doing it, because honestly, it doesn't matter. Yes, you could be inspired by people. Yes, you could look up to people. Yes, you could be like, this person's doing this. So that's a possibility, and that it's, what is the word? It's a possibility, and that you're capable of achieving it. But because you actually have to face it, you're not going to have the same result as these people. So it's just like, when you emphasize being vulnerable, when you realize that you having certain qualities that you used to not be too confident about, or fearful about, doesn't make you weak, but it makes you stronger, you then can realize how you can overcome certain challenges when certain things happen to you. Learning to embrace your flaws or your insecurities will help you realize that, one, you are a human, your feelings are valid, and two, that you don't have to be afraid. When you go through a significant amount of trauma, like I said, and you don't have me, your favorite mental health specialist, you don't confide in a therapist, you don't have family, friends, and support, or if you don't go to God, ancestors, and universe, for those of you who believe, take what resonates, leave the rest. A lot of times you will feel stuck and stagnant. A lot of times you do feel like you're not going to be able to move forward. A lot of times you do limit yourself. And a lot of times too, when you don't have anybody to guide you and you have to depend on yourself, you have to realize facing your fears takes a lot of courage. Facing your fears takes a lot of energy. Facing your fears takes a lot of effort. Everyone is not like me. Everyone is not like this. So you have to keep that in mind when you guys are watching these videos. Learning to face your fears takes a lot of strength. So never, be too hard on yourself. Like I said, learn to be patient. Learn to give yourself grace. Learn to realize how it makes you feel and go through your season of discomfort. When you are healing yourself, when you are facing your fears, whether that's getting yourself out of poverty, being a content creator, starting a business, being a mom, starting a family, being a dad, being in healthy relationships, getting that degree, getting that job, whatever it is, you have to realize that you're starting from the beginning. There's a beginning, the middle, and the end. You don't have to rush your beginning. You don't have to rush your process. If you're learning, like I said, to kill bugs or spiders, and you've never had to kill a bug or a spider, once again, in the beginning, you may feel uncomfortable because you don't know what you're doing. Or you could have, those old ways of thinking, those old programmings that make you feel like you're going to be attacked or whatever it is, which, like I said, is PTSD. But it's like, we have to make decisions. In order for you to genuinely face your fears, you have to be intentional. You have to want to face your fears in order for you to face your fears. And I'm going to say that again. And you guys, by the way, if you see me looking this way, I do have my MacBook. I need to wipe it down. I don't know what that is on the back of it. I do need to wipe it down. I already said that, you guys. But you have to be intentional. So I'm going to end up the video with that. Let me know in this video specifically what you are afraid of, so therefore we can come up with solutions, as well as what you learned in this video and what you can do moving forward, as well as follow me on all my social media platforms. Thank you guys for liking this video, engaging, and turning on your post notifications so you're subscribed, as well as booking your service and your sessions. All my social medias and my website for my services will be in the description down below. Thank you guys. Make sure you guys are reading your booking policies so there's no confusion with your appointment. And when you guys are following me on my Instagram and TikTok, having your notifications on there too, because I will be going live a lot more during this summertime on there until we have access here on YouTube, which we'll have at any moment now. So when it comes to facing your fears, I need you to be intentional, and I need you to be very much so aware. If you want to face your fears, and that's how I'm going to end off the video, are you willing to overcome them? Are you willing to be patient? Are you willing to show up? Because once you realize what you're afraid of, once you realize how it makes you feel, once you realize the limitations, once you realize the blockages, once you realize what's in your control and what's not, and what you can and cannot do, and accept that there are only 24 hours in a day, it's up to you. It's up to you. So do you want to face your fears, or are you going to continue to feel stuck and stagnant? Are you going to continue to feel small moving forward? Because I don't want that for you. If I was able to overcome my fears of trying not to kill spiders but killing spiders at the same time, or just spiders in general, you could face your fears. And of course, like I said, I'm speaking from experience. I am a naturopathic physician. It does take time. But as long as you're willing to take the action and build confidence and just show up and celebrate yourself as you're showing up and taking your time and, staying motivated, you'll overcome your fears. You will overcome your fears, okay? I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.